Hello and welcome back to Talon 101. This time, we're gonna compare Hwoarang's 11 frame punishers. In Tekken 7, he used to have 3 11 frame punishers. In Tekken 8, he only has 2. That is 4-3, 4-3, and 4-4. Just these 2. That's it. The other one that's gone is 4F4, which was the move that kept him in right foot forward. It will be missed, but it would be really good if it was in this game. But alas, let's not focus on that and focus on these 2 moves. So, 4-3, right? Of course, they're both 11 frame punishes, right? So, obviously, this comes out at 11 frames. This is +5 on hit, and then if it does get blocked, it's -6. And you can end in left foot forward or left flamingo. So all you gotta do is hold forward as you press 4-3, and you'll end up in left flamingo at +5, or you'll end up at left flamingo at -6. Take your pick, but usually when you're punishing an opponent, so just think about +5 flamingo or +5 left foot forward. And of course, naturally, if you do get this move to hit, you want to cover sidestep left and sidestep right, because that's the best defensive option the opponent can do in this scenario. And we have a couple of asterisks, but we'll go through them one by one. The first one being jabs. The jabs will catch if they do a sidestep left, but if they side walk, your jabs don't hit. So that doesn't hit, it's okay, because your 11 frame punisher got you. So again, you're channeling your inner Kazama, doing a high mid after another high mid, which is great. And that's something you can, it's not even a risk, because you're +5, 11 -5, it's gonna come out really, really quickly. So it's not like Jin's where it comes out at 10 frames, but hey, it's still pretty good. And then you can also do your other 11 frame punish, which we'll talk about later, which is 4-4. The other one is Ignition Barrage. So this only catches sidestep left, but if they decide to sidewalk left, well, you lose. That's the same boat for F1+2 and DF2. They will lose here if the opponent does a sidewalk left. But if they do just sidestep left, DF2 again will usually be the best option in terms of reward. And then if you're always not sure of the opponent, whether they were sidestepping right or left, right, then F1+2. Now your main go-to low here, if the opponent does decide to step towards the left, is down back 4. Why down back 4? Because the elbows don't hit. It's as plain as simple as it gets. Now, if they do decide to step towards the right, of course, same exact problem. Jabs, they only catch versus sidestep right. But the moment they walk, right? The moment they walk, it's over. It's the same thing with 4-3. You see that, how it loses? And 4-4, they both lose. So they only catch if the opponent was stepping towards the right. So you need to confirm this first as one of your follow-ups in the set. Now, a reliable option here would be back 4. Your only issue is that this move's -10 now. So if the opponent blocks it, be prepared to get hit by a 10 frame punish for the most part. The other move is DF3 +4. Now this is reliable every single time compared to like sidestep left. The next one is DF1. Of course, again, this requires the opponent to just simply step towards the right. If they walk, you're gonna lose, as you saw there. And F1+2 for sidewalk right. Well, again, with an asterisk. Most characters, you're gonna catch sidestep right, sidewalk right, and sidestep left. And then, of course, for lows, now everything goes in. So down back 4 as same as sidestep left. Down back 3. And then, of course, down 4. That's great. You have all your lows. Now, what if the opponent decides to power crush? Well, the rule is -4 frames. They're +5, right? So 5 -4 is 1. So it's like, what, 11 frames or faster? Well, no, because you can do a grab, right? And that beats a power crush. So that means 12 frames or faster. But it's a handy rule to have. It's a handy guideline to have. So basically 12 frames or faster. And this means you can throw out DF1 as well versus a power crush because you'll be safe. Because if they throw out a rage art, that's the only time that you'll be unsafe, right? Because it'll activate and then you die. So if we go back to the options that you have versus sidesteps, both sidestep left and sidestep right, then that means you can do stuff like jabs to check your opponent. You can do a DF1 and stay safe. You can do a 4-3 follow-up and still win. And of course, you can do something like down back 4. Because if you throw out your 15 frame moves, like DF2 and F1+2, you will lose. So at least you have like pretty safe options to play around first before doing the risky option. Or you do the risky option first, you lose there, so the next time you go around this situation, then that's when you press your safer option. Now, so take your pick, depending on like how you gather your information. And the last thing for this move is if the opponent decides to backdash, well, you can always just stick to your 11 frame punishes. You can still stick to DF1. You can stick to Ignition Barrage, F1+2, and of course, all your other lows. Besides down 3-4. I know I didn't mention down 3-4. But yeah, basically the safer lows. And of course, this does 30 damage, so you do get more damage compared to 4-4. But you do have to think about all these options for the most part when you get it on hit. Now, if we move over to 4-4, this before had its own separate video back in Tekken 7 when I was doing open Hwoarang lessons. Because the main thing here was that when the opponent does backdash, well, you didn't really have an option that really caught consistently. You're like RFS1 sometimes hit, sometimes it didn't. RFS forward 3, not this RFS forward 3 which is homing, sometimes hit and sometimes it didn't. So it's just like you were in a tough spot. But now in this game, in Tekken 8, the fact that Flying Eagle now exists, well, the opponent's not going anywhere. So you have a safe mid option that keeps the opponent pretty much locked in place. So now that makes it like a more viable 11 frame punish, because now it's like +10 and like what the hell is the opponent supposed to do? And it's +1 on block. Oh well, -1, not +1, my bad. And well, I mean -1 or +1, your opponent wouldn't be able to beat RFS F4, but that is like the only go-to for the most part, like on block. And of course, yeah, it does go into right flamingo, and we mentioned it earlier, 27 damage. So it's 3 damage away from 4-3 on hit, but that's fine, because if we can, let's just go back to the backdash, which was the crux of like why it was 11 frame punish you didn't really use in Tekken 7. Right, because again, that just keeps the opponent in place. So there's a couple of options that lose versus backdash, right? Number 1 is RFS forward 3. I know it's not losing here against Lily, but it does lose against Zafina. So that's like the best backdash in the game, right? So against everyone else, this is an asterisk, like, because it's gonna hit them. So like, you're fine. So it's like, what else loses? RFS DF4, that loses. So you can't use like your most advantageous mid, and you can't get a heat engager after RFS if you use this punish. Of course, you can get like +1 if you do the just frame version of Flying Eagle. Then I guess you lose nothing in regards to RFS DF4. It's just that you will not get a, what do you call this? A counter hit launcher, provided they press a button, right? But everything else works on a backdash. Like you can get your Hell Sweep. So if you had heat active, right, and you punched an opponent, oh, they're gonna eat all that damage. Bro, that's a lot of damage. It's insane. And then of course you can also do something like RFS down 3. You can even just keep check with RFS 2. That's great, because they can't step either. Remember, they're -10. So like you didn't even have to worry about RFS 2. Like you can default to it, or if you can even like default to like RFS 1 if you want to. So choose +5, -2, or -3 on the Flying Eagle. Because when it comes to sidewalk right, the only options that really lose here are RFS back 3. So again, no heat engager. RFS of forward 3, because this is linear as hell. And then Air Blade, RFS of forward 4. So you can't even get your launcher. Now if we change this to sidewalk left, same thing. RFS of forward 3 loses. RFS back 4, there you go, consistently loses. Then RFS of forward 4. So it's just like you lose like a little bit more of like the rewarding mids. But the fact that you keep Flying Eagle is the best. And you don't even have to worry about that challenge, right? So if we go back to an opponent attempting to do a power crush, for as long as you're pressing 16 frames or faster, your opponent cannot, they can't do anything. You see how RFS 4 beats them? That's fast as 14 frames. You do 13, but it didn't even activate. But yeah, for the most part, they can't. So like, let's change it to a regular challenge, right? Where like a jab. Yeah, there you go. See, like they can't win. Like even if I change that to evasive move, they're not winning either. Like you can even default to like RFS forward 3 if you want, and you'll trade. However, you can't do that all the time, because if they rage art, then yeah, you'll lose, because again, this move comes out 20 frames. But again, 16 frames are faster, and they can't even rage art. So like, the opponent's stuck in place. They have to take the mix up. So it's just like, Okay, Frontier, do I make that my go-to 11 frame punish? It depends. What do you mean it depends after all of this? Why does it depend? Because number one, the differences between 4-3 and 4-4 is at what keeps the mix-up whole. So at for 4-3, that's F1 plus 2. Yes, it loses to sidewalk right and sidewalk left, but again, that's against Lily, right? So for the most part, if we take in general against majority of the cast, you're only losing to sidewalk left. So if you don't know where the opponent is stepping, this helps you out a lot, and then you can build your information like that and then adjust depending on like what they're doing, right? And then 4-4, this works because Flying Eagle exists. But there's key parts here. So like, okay, you have a solid mid in both options, but it's the stuff that you're allowed to adjust with. So if the opponent does decide to stay in place, now you have JFSR. Like, you have a big damaging mid launcher that you can do because again, you're in left foot forward, right? And you can also still use your plus frames and like sidewalk to either side, or even like backdash, or do something like that, a hezzy crouch dash, or even stand switch and like try to garner a different reaction from your opponent. It's that safety that you get from doing 4-3 on hit and not being forced to commit to a button, which is like 4-4's problem. Granted, you are plus 10 and you'll never have a problem. But like if you want to like try to get RFS back 3 and like you're trying to like, okay, they're gonna stay in place. Hopefully they stay in place so I can go for a heat option. You need to like wait until they stop backdashing, right? Or if you want to like turn into a +1, since you don't have like, let's say, a just frame Flying Eagle, you need to stay to a mid option if you're not sure on like what they're doing. Because in terms of lows, these are riskier. You see how you're launch punchable there, and then this one is like -2 on hit, and then of course, yeah, if it gets blocked, there's a chance that it can lose and a chance that you can win. But I mean, it's still good. It's just that on 4-4, it's more about converting the situation after, where in terms of 4-3, you have the room to like do something quote-unquote safe, or you can just be safe and like not press a button for the most part every single time, and just stay in left foot forward and, you know, catch whatever the challenge that they're doing next. Because the only other way you can like try to do more of 4-4 is to cancel, but then this is a risk. So again, right, Flying Eagle at its core is holding this mix-up. You're gonna cancel, and then now you're going off like different situations, and like maybe try to catch a down 3-4, or even a right Plasma Blade right afterwards. Or that way you can even get access to like JFSR, because now, yes, you could do like 4-4 into RFS2 because they're already expecting to block Flying Eagle anyway. But if they have a fuzzy duck in between, the cancel will help, because it's like, okay, they're gonna fuzzy duck, and then now you cancel, and then now that ends in their fuzzy duck, and then now if you let, let's say, most especially if you let the foot go down on the cancel, and then now you can like just straight up JFSR, or right 4-4 cancel, and then you just do Flying Eagle. Sure, why not? But like, you have to play around that more compared to like 4-3. I mean, like, just take your pick between the two, because both are still good. Well, I guess not both. Now they're both good 11 frame, what do you call this? 11 frame punishers. But yeah, that's more or less everything I know about 4-3 and 4-4. That has been the lesson for this video. I've been Frontier, and thank you for watching.